Now, I didn't really get into Twilight. I'm not a huge fan, unironically. I'm a huge fan of it, ironically. But, yeah, this is me talking about how I got into Twilight. Uh, man, like I said before, I'm more of a Harry Potter fan, and so when Twilight came along when I was in high school, it was the big thing. Like, it came out when I was in high school. I think the first three books came out, or the first, I don't know, I actually don't know how long they were out. Like, I remember the first movie was gonna come out, and everybody was like really, really into the books. Like, oh, I'm reading Twilight right now, and it's great. It's really good. And me being a bookworm, I'm like, okay, I'll eventually read this. And I was like, all right, let's just see what it is. I was like, okay, vampires, werewolves, and love, or love story with human. Yeah, okay, I'll check it out at some point in time. But I already have everything else, and I just want, and maybe it's because I actually was interested in it because there was a girl I liked who was interested in it. It was pretty much the same way when I was in grade 9, when I was really interested in a girl who really liked watching uh, the channel TBS. And I was like, okay, if she likes it, I'll get into it and I'll talk about things with her on that channel. Not a big fan of TBS, but it is what it is. But Twilight is like, okay, this thing is pretty big right now, so I'm just gonna go ahead and like see what the hubbub is about, you know? I'm like, okay, I'll just get into it, and luckily my sister has had, I think, a couple of the books at some point at that point, and I was like, right now she has all the books and all the movies, but I'll get to that in a little bit. So I think she let me. I think okay, I don't remember much, but I think either she or another one of my friends let me the first book, and I remember reading up to page 100 something when I was like, no, no, I'm not. I can't do it right now. No, I gotta read something else. Like, it wasn't awful, but I just couldn't really get into it like I did Harry Potter. Like, it was, I was almost halfway done the book, and I'm like, no, I can't do this. And I have not read a a Twilight book ever since. A, I haven't ever finished it. My sister has all the books. I could go to her room and read, like, borrow them all just to read them, and I'm like, but I have other books to read, other better books to read. If you like the Twilight books, that's totally fine. It's just that I had better things to read in literature, and I still do. I mean, I like some young adult novels, but not Twilight. I'm not reading those for a while. Then again, maybe eventually, considering I read the first 50 Shades of Grey book, um, and I'm looking at the box that I've of the 50 Shades of Grey book, the 3 book box set right now. I'm looking at them right now, and I only read the first book, and I haven't read the other 2. So there's that. So eventually, man, it's been like, I got that box set like 2014. So yeah, but this isn't about 50 Shades of Grey. This is something a little bit better than 50 Shades of Grey. And again, I never read the books, but I was going for the movies. And I remember, and in videos that I did before I did the show I'm doing now, which I don't want to talk about, but I have talked about it on this show, in this room here. And, and I remember saying that the movies were the worst thing ever, and I was over the top with them. Uh, let's just say my opinions have changed a little bit. Like, I've only talked about the first 3 movies, and that's it. Because, like, what else am I gonna talk about that everybody else has talked about? So I remember when the first movie came out on home video or DVD or whatever, and I and it came out on satellite, and I tried to hide it from my sister because there were 4 channels dedicated to the first movie. I'm like, Oh my god, if my sister finds out about this, she's not gonna let me like watch anything on TV. So I tried to get her away from it, and it turned out like no. It's like she eventually got to it like hours later, and it's like I'm gonna watch this. I'm like, oh crap, and eventually I did watch it, and I was like, oh, this is just stupid. And honestly, speaking of the movie reviews I used to do and am ashamed of, I'll be honest. With a couple of the first two movies, I did not. With the first movie, I did not watch the movie beforehand. So if you're looking at the Twilight movie review, I'm sorry. First of all, I'm sorry. Second of all, it was made when I didn't watch the movie at all, so I just went on Wikipedia and just like summed it up a little bit and just went over the top with it. So again, just don't watch the movie reviews I did for those. Actually, don't watch the movie reviews at all because they are filled with critical research failures. Uh, So I watched the first one. I thought nothing of it. I thought it was a dumb movie. Then I watched the second one, and I thought, yeah, this is a dumb, stupid movie. I can't believe I borrowed this from the library. And the third one is the only one out of all of them which I watched in theaters. My sister wanted to watch it. I remember it was New Year's Eve, 2009. Like it was like 7 p.m. and my dad's like, okay, your sister wants to go see this new Twilight movie. Here's some money, and I'm going to drop you off at the theater with her. And I'm like, okay, fine. So I watched it with her, and I was kind of not into it, but at the same time, it grabbed my attention because of the unintentional humor. So yeah, there's that. And it also wasn't my money, so my dad was wasting his money for two people. I'm like, this is just great. And eventually, like a couple hours later, we got home and they had a palate cleanser because the Crow happened to be on. I'm like, well, I'm gonna watch the Crow, so the new Twilight movie wouldn't be the last movie I saw in theaters this year. And so eventually I got to watch, like I borrowed the last two movies at um at the library, like I do most of the things. I remember waking up and just seeing like the first part, like I said in the Harry Potter movie, in the Harry Potter video, there shouldn't have been two parts. There should have been like the fourth book should have been like one big movie. That's it. Because the books aren't that big. You could cut some things out, but it's for the movie. They always change things for the book for the movie, and so it's like the first one is like the first part I thought at the time was like I didn't like it, but I don't know why. Something's off about this. And then the second part was when it actually gets really good. Well, not really good, but over the top and batshit insane. But yeah, it was fun. Like I had fun, especially with the last battle, and thank God I wasn't spoiled at that. Oh, but though out of all the Twilight movies, I kind of wish I saw that movie in theaters because I want to see the reaction of everybody during that final battle. That's what everybody. I just want to see the reaction of everybody just seeing everybody die in the battle, and then the reveal happens, and they're like, "Oh, okay, all that was okay, all right," and then yeah, that was it. Um, so cut to 2013, the summer of 2013 or 14, when I woke up early to go to the library on my day off, and I see my sister on the couch in the living room watching, having a Twilight marathon, like watching all five movies in a row. And I'm like, how is that possible? Because she woke up early, and by the time I left, she was on the second movie, and when I came home, she was halfway through the fourth movie. Like she was marathoning this, and I was like, okay, that's impressive. Then I get like I couldn't even do that with Harry Potter. I have a friend who actually could watch all the Lord of the Rings movies in a row, and I'm like, I can't do that. I need a break. Um, but yeah. Um, so as a couple of years ago, I decided, hey, if she like, I was at work one day, and I'm like thinking about it. When I was thinking about my sister marathoning all the Twilight movies, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute. If she can marathon the movies, I can marathon the movies. So that's right. I've watched all the Twilight movies twice. Like first time separately, and then second time in a row. Yeah, it was a Friday morning. I pretty much made a day out of it. Like, okay, I'm just gonna do this. And I remember like, oh, the like at first I was okay because the first three movies are like, oh, there's 2 hours of stupid, fun, not fun, but unintentional hilarious and eye rolling and like bad dialogue and whatever. And it's like, yeah, this is fine. This is fine. It wasn't until part one when the boredom started to seep in, and it wasn't because the Twilight movies. Well, the Twilight movies are never boring, but the first part of Breaking Dawn was bad. Like even my sister who loved the Twilight movies was like, no, the first one's the worst. The first part is the worst because nothing happens. And I'm like, is this a good idea at all? Like, was this idea actually good? Should I have done this? And then the second part came, and I'm like, okay, so yeah, things are starting to happen, and that's when I realized, yeah, this, yeah, I don't know why they couldn't have just like, I don't know, put the pregnancy thing in the second part and just made it one movie instead of just wasting time. But then again, it was again money, whatever. Studios like, hey, it works for Harry Potter, but then Harry Potter were the last Harry Potter books were, most of them are door stoppers. Twilight's like 400 pages. Like 300, 400 pages as far as I know. Those don't need to be split up. I blame Harry Potter for this, but those don't need to be split up. The last book in a YA franchise or a YA book series should not be split into two movies, because you're not gonna know what's gonna happen with them. But it's like, well, okay, fine. But yeah, it's been how long since I talked about Twilight? Since 2011 on this channel, and again, don't watch the movie reviews. And if you do watch those movie reviews, those dumbass movie reviews, I apologize in advance. But honestly, as the years go by, I feel like the Twilight movies are not the worst thing that happened in society. There's people now like them ironically now. Like not many people like them unironically. They still have their fans, but if you like Twilight ironically or unironically, that's totally fine. Like I like Twilight for the stupidity and the stupid dialogue and the stupid characters and the over the top spectacle at times, but you know what? It is what it is. And again, my opinion has changed for the past few years. Like I I don't hate it. I don't have an over the top hatred like saying like Twilight's the worst thing ever. It's like no. I every once in a while I'll see a clip of Twilight, see which one it is, and like, yeah, I remember that. As for a rewatch, I don't think I'll ever rewatch Twilight for a while because it's been 2 years since that marathon, and I'm like, well, just give me a while. Just give me a little bit of a while, and we'll talk. Okay, we'll just talk. Like, I don't think there's gonna be fun, much things that are gonna be as fun as Twilight was in terms of watchability, especially the second time around. Because you know what, sometimes hilarious, like hindsight's 2020. It's like not the worst thing ever, but you know, it is what it is, and I enjoy Twilight, the Twilight series being very, very stupid. So that's how I got into the Twilight series, and that's it for a vlog of this, and I will see you the next time I do something like this. So thank you.